Want to welcome you to another edition of New Jack Swing podcast with myself, Namdi, and our friend over here, Stevie Street. How you doing, Stevie?
Good evening, sir. I can't believe we're, 23 podcasts in?
Yes, it looks it's just an amazing thing how much we've things are going in. Now, some of you might be looking and saying, "Okay, there's just two of you. Where is number three? Where is Sheldon?" Unfortunately, Sheldon had an appointment, so he couldn't make it today. But we will have, well, we have his list, but as well, we have a special guest who's going to be joining in, and he's also got his list, and that's Idris Muhammad from the. He was from the New Jack Swing Gene Griffin production group, ARB. And some of you might say, "Oh, do what?" And he was the guy who rapped on Basic Black's "Nothing But a Party" as well. So Idris is coming to join us in. So, but we want to welcome you guys. That was good flavor. You got your okay. Hopefully, you guys got your top 10. But Stevie, how have you been?
Well, firstly, I'd like to, on behalf of all the viewers, all the loyal viewers, listeners, and anyone who's contributed to Halftime Chat and myself, a very happy birthday to you, sir. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Namdi. Happy birthday to you. Go Namdi. Go Namdi. It's your birthday. Go
Yeah.
Namdi.
Oh, thanks very much. I completely forgot about that. Yes, it
How have you
was
spent
yesterday.
your birthday weekend, sir?
Yeah, it's well, good that I'm able to do the show to see everyone and stuff. But yes, it was nice and quiet, and yeah, try to relax and stuff. Thanks, Joseph, for the birthday wishes.
Have you enjoyed a slice of birthday cake yet?
Yes, if not a whole cake itself, but you only do it once a year, so might as well enjoy it.
You're getting a ripe old age now.
Yeah, it's not easy being in your mid-30s, but anyway, yes,
Young as ever.
young as ever, yes. But anyway, guys, it is also Grammy weekend. Actually, the Grammys are on now. I think um, these are the sort of the not too popular awards that are being shown. Um, the only thing of note is SZA was nominated for 9 Grammys, and if she wins all 9, she will surpass Michael Jackson's record of winning more than 8 in a single night. She's already won 1, so we're just watching and seeing. But other than that, we'll wait for Idris to join in. But one of the things, guys, we were preparing our top 10 Teddy Riley remixes. I think the slight communication was I compiled my top 10 on remixes that Teddy did that he didn't produce the original track. Um, I think both Sheldon and Stevie did a list of remixes of Teddy. So it'll be interesting to see how the night goes. So people might be wondering, why does mine seem a little bit off compared to theirs?
So your
But that's all right.
top 10 is compiled of remixes he did that he didn't produce.
That he didn't produce. That they just said, Teddy, here's the vocals.
You communicate that to me, but it's no big deal.
Hey, Mr. Mac, how you doing? Yeah. So that wait, yeah. So yeah, that's the slight communication in there, but it should be a good evening, regardless.
What's going on with because Teddy Riley this week has announced some pretty big news, didn't he?
Yes. So if you hadn't heard it, Teddy Riley has a podcast which is going to be available on Sirius Radio for a week, for a month throughout this Black History Month. And he is also about to release his autobiography. So I think from Teddy's point of view, he's been concerned that other people have been speaking about some of his things, and so he wants to at least get his record straight. So the podcast, you have to subscribe to Sirius Radio if in the States to be able to access that. So we're not sure if it's going to be made available to everyone else. But yes. Yes. But then there was an article. There was an article that he had with what is that stuff? I think Rolling Stone as well.
Yeah, talk about is there a book coming or something? Book, and is there even a film? I'm not sure about
Well, he was supposed to come up with a documentary. So I'm just trying to get Idris on. Hold on one second. Now the browser. Hold on. Trying to get him.
This is a live YouTube.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the thing. So because we're okay. Here he is. Okay.
How's it going?
Yeah.
How's it going, guys?
Good
Sorry
evening.
about
Yes.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you
How
hear
you
me?
been? Yeah, we can hear you. We can see you, and
All
everyone
right,
else
good.
can see you. Yeah.
Good. I'm sorry. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty.
Yes, yeah, that's fine. I mean, so you are live with us. We've got our regular group who are tuned in because
Cool.
today's our top 10 Teddy Riley remixes.
All right.
We kind of had two slight different lists because I went for remixes that Teddy didn't produce, and
Okay.
Stevie and Sheldon kind of went with remixes that Teddy just did. So, um, did you have your list together?
Oh, I have my list together. I'm good. So
Give
I
him
mean,
Okay.
a reintroduction, Namdi. Give him a
Yeah,
big
go ahead.
introduction.
Yes, Stevie, introduce him.
Yes, we've got Mr. ARB, Atlanta rap band, former Motown, Gene Griffin, signed rapper, New Jack Swinger, Idris Muhammad with us this evening.
how's it going?
The hard or soft LP from around
Right.
1991. And believe me, this guy has got tons of back information, stuff we never really knew about, what was going on behind the scenes of New Jack Swing.
Right.
Sure, he's going to reveal a few secrets tonight, we hope.
Yeah, hopefully.
He's now a chef as well, a successful chef.
Yeah. I'm pivoting. I'm changing my direction. I've been changing it for a while. I've done it for a while. So yeah, I used all of my contacts in the music industry, and now I'm a culinary consultant. So that's a blessing. I can't complain.
Well, it's great to have you. What's up, Big Mike and Dallas King? Welcome. Thank you, guys.
One question I got to ask you though, because I don't think we asked you this last time.
What?
When was the last time you actually met up with Teddy or was in the same room? Because obviously it's about Teddy Riley tonight.
It's been a very, very long time. I actually, so my relationship with him was a little bit different than others, is because I was part of the group that left and went down to, it was Virginia at the time. And it was right around the time, I never forget, it was a Christmas party. I had just signed. And I signed through Redhead Kingpin, and shout out to Redhead Kingpin. And there were rumors that the GR was about to break up. And so at the Christmas party, it was like just rumors. No one said anything. And then I think Gene made the move down to, it was Virginia at first. It was Atlanta at first. And then it was supposed to be, they actually bought a home. There was a home for Teddy, had a home, Darren had a home, and Aaron had a home. And they weren't far from each other because Gene showed them to me. And then next thing you know, everything went down, and the Teddy, instead of moving to Atlanta, they moved to VA. And so that's where all the future studios and things of that nature started. So to answer your question, my relationship was on the tail end of that breakup. But I do remember a lot of things that went down in the studio before that and things of that nature. But I didn't get signed. And I got signed about a month or two before the whole breakup, which was pretty interesting. So I was going on the road and things of that nature. I saw everybody, in the concerts and things, but I was signed as a solo artist about a couple of months before the breakup. So I got to see like the breakup and the quote unquote new rebuilding of GR, if you will, because it changed from GR to GEG, which was Griffin Entertainment Group. So GR was obviously Gene and Riley. And then after Teddy left, it was called GEG Productions, which is Griffin Entertainment Group. And he still kept the little Griffins on the as the thing, as the idol, the little mascot. But he changed it. So yeah, so I was on the tail end.
Was
so
it
you
ever
talked around
signed?
1992 maybe?
Excuse me?
What, around 1992 maybe?
No, it was before then. It's because The Black came out, I think, in 91, if my memory serves me correctly. And so I was signed before the Black came out. And so let me set the stage a little bit. And I think the people need to know this. And I think Mucho and Spec probably kind of like broke this down. So the groups at the time that were signed to Gene were Guy, Rex and Effect, Abstract, Zan the Man, Redhead Kingpin, and
Today.
Today, right? Those were the groups that were signed. Today and Redhead Kingpin are the group Today and Redhead Kingpin and Bernard Bell and Regina Bell. They're all from Inglewood, New Jersey. Okay. And so all the members from Today are from Inglewood, New Jersey. Redhead Kingpin was from Inglewood, New Jersey. And Bernard Bell and Regina Bell were also from Inglewood, New Jersey. How, if my memory serves me correctly, and if I'm wrong, someone can correct me, but how Today got with Gene, I'm thinking through Bernard, because Bernard used to be in Today. And but when Bernard was with Today, they were a group called the Gents, and they made a song in high school, and it was really, really big. Big Bub was the lead singer and things of that nature. So they were signed, and so to make a long story short, Teddy and Gene had those 6 groups. What Gene would do, which was I think a great marketing strategy, is because Teddy created New Jack Swing, and it was a completely new genre of music, and Guy was popping at the time. And Guy was popping because, for one, Teddy completely changed the face of music, for one. But for two, Teddy had so many people that he produced before Guy. And so all of these people that he produced, which was the Keith Sweats, the Albie Shores, all of these people that he had produced had hit records. So Teddy was the producer everybody wanted at the time. So when Guy came out, they brought a whole new style to music. They brought a whole new music to what was before sort of like, I would say sort of like a Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis kind of style. They brought that New Jack Swing. So when they came out, they were a hot commodity. And so what Gene would do is, since when Guy came out with Groove Me, what Gene would do is he would, like when Groove Me, the single was out before the album, and then the album came out, and say Guy wanted to go on the road. Gene would say, if you want Guy, you have to take Today. And they'd be like, well, we don't know about Today. Today doesn't really have a hit record out. They may have came out with Him or Me at the time, but it wasn't blowing up like Groove Me. And they'd be like, well, we don't know nothing about, taking Today. And then Gene would say, well, if you don't take Today, you can't have Guy neither. And he'd hang up the phone. And so then they'd call back and be like, look, okay, we'll take Guy and we'll take Today. And then Gene, can I curse on here? Oh no.
Okay. Well, you
okay.
just
Carry on.
Gene would say, so they'd call back and they'd say, okay, we'll take Guy and Today. And then Gene would be like, all right, motherfucker, since you didn't answer me the first time, now you got to take Rex in Effect. So now they have to take Guy, Today, and Rex in Effect. And so they didn't want to hang up no more. And so that's how Gene worked his magic, man. And that's how he built. But first of all, he could have built it anyway because it was a new genre of music. Mm-hmm. But that's what he would do. And that's how they would go. And people don't know that. And you can also ask Akil this. Akil was not the first main rapper for Rex in Effect. It was another guy. And unfortunately, I think he quit. I know one guy died, but I think he quit. And then Akil became the lead rapper for Rex in effect, and Kill's voice is crazy. I mean, his at that particular time, you know, you never heard a voice like all lyrics like Kill, and so so that's how Gene would do it. He would be like, okay, piggyback, and then when Today got big, see what would happen. Then Today got bigger, and then he would call and get shows for Today, and then when Today came on, he would say, okay, now you got to take Rex in effect, and I want you to take Redhead Kingpin too. And so that's how he did it. He was a genius when it came to that. I gotta admit. I'm gonna give the man his flowers. You know, there's a lot of bad, but he was a genius when it came to that kind of thing. All of that, the way they dressed, that was all Gene. All of that.
I would say that when he when Teddy leaves, does everyone in GR think, oh my goodness, that's it, it's over because the Music Man is gone? Or did people just think, yeah, we'll rebuild?
That is a good question. I think, okay, I can't answer for everyone, but from what Red would tell me, see, because what people fail to realize is that Red is an amazing producer himself, right? And so what Red would tell me, he would be like, well, you know, everybody's thinking of moving with Teddy because, you know, Teddy was like you said, he was the producer guy. But when you're young like that, it's a gray area. You sort of like see things that both people are doing. And you got to understand, Teddy was young too. We're all younger. And I was much younger than all of them. And so so you don't really know which way to go. But I do know one thing, that when they left, Today and Red left with him. And because Red could produce, Red was sort of like on his own, like producing also, but Today and Red left with Teddy. And then what happened was all of the people that were signed to GR Productions that hadn't come out yet, they left with Gene because they didn't see a lot of what was going on the Insker. So I say that to say this. So like Spec, Mucho, Diesel, KB. All right. So Mucho. So when Diesel, Daryl Adams was signed, he was signed as a solo artist. And so because he was signed as a solo artist, what he was actually signed. So he was never supposed to come out. I'm being honest.
So he was signed to block him from going anywhere else.
Yes, that's what they used to do back in the days. You know what I'm saying? He sounded so much like Aaron, or even better, and then he wasn't supposed to come out. So he was signed because he was that good. But when Teddy and Guy and those guys started to kind of like get a whiff of what Gene was doing with the money, then they left. What Gene did is he took Daryl, who was Diesel, and he was signed to a solo contract. And then he had Spec, KB, and Mucho, which you guys already know the story, who they were the backup band for Today. And then I was signed with Redhead Kingpin, and he took us all. Then you have people like Artie Hoyle, and because Artie Hoyle also used to play for Today as keyboards. And so you have all of these people that are signed, and he just took us and brought us down to Atlanta and kind of like rebuilt. And so to answer your question, I know it was a long answer, but to answer your question, the people that were there that had already come out, they kind of left with Teddy. And then the other people like us that really didn't know what was happening in the in-works of it. And plus we're young and we're like, yeah, we just want the chance. We just want the chance. We left with Gene.
Okay. I mean, we're going to get more of the backstory as we go along. But we have to start with our top 10.
Okay.
And yeah. So, I mean, Stevie, you've got both yours and Sheldon. So for guys who are just joining in, Sheldon had another appointment, so he couldn't make it in. He has given us his top 10 list.
Okay.
We've got our special guest, Mr. Idris Muhammad from the New Jack group AERB. But he was part of and he, you know, people might have, if you know Basic Black's Nothing But a Party, I think one of the best New Jack swing tracks ever. He was the one who did the rap on that as well. So, you know, throughout the evening, he's going to give us some more backstories between, you know, the whole GR production, the whole the whole thing. But yeah, we're gonna start off with our top 10 Teddy Riley remixes, and my list, as I said to those who joined earlier, is remixes that Teddy didn't do the original production.
Okay.
But you know, we've got a lot of stuff. So I can start. I can do my number 10.
Okay.
And I remember buying this single. I was so excited to see that these guys trusted Teddy with this track.
Okay.
And it was an amazing track. It was an amazing production. It was something different, but it was Love is Strong by the Rolling Stones.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding. I bought the single. It was, you know, the whole, because I was excited when the Rolling Stones came back out, and here's his Teddy doing the remix of they gave Teddy the remix, and this one they did. So this was a big deal. The fact that they just came out with their first album, signed to Virgin, multi-billion dollars, and they said, Teddy, can you do the remix of our very first track? And yeah, so that's, as I said, my list is of remixes that Teddy didn't produce the original track.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, it was a big deal, and Teddy probably got paid a lot of money from Virgin to do that remix, but that was a terrible remix.
We're talking about favorites now. We're talking about favorites.
I'm not sitting on the fence here, so but
yeah, we're
talking
if you about
like
favorites.
Listen, if you like it, fair play to you, Nandi.
Nandi, now I'm gonna go look that one up and just listen to it because I gotta check it out.
yeah. No, I remember Sprague talking about how it was a big deal when they got called to do the stuff. Unfortunately, Mick Jagger didn't come down to Future Studios, so they just used the
right.
They just
Now,
used the vocals and stuff.
Sprague is a big pivotal part of GR and GEG Productions. He's like one of those stealths, like a silent person that, you know, he did a lot, but you don't really know about it. Sprague Doogie. My guy. Yeah.
So about yourself, Idris, what will make your number 10 of the Teddy Riley remix?
Okay, so does it have to be a remix?
Well, we did the main production last week.
Okay, you did production. Okay, so it my number 10, and I'm gonna say this because there's a story behind it, right? So my number 10 would be the remix of Jane Child.
At number 10.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Is because it's bittersweet, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because what happened was when Teddy first came out, right? Teddy was doing something that no one else was doing, okay? He was doing it live and he was doing it in production, okay? And so Teddy would take samples and replay them. So like if you listen to Piece of My Love, the bass line is nothing but I Like from The Barge, right? And so he would take songs and he would kind of replay them. So I don't know if they had sampling rules back then, so he would replay them. So what was happening was when Teddy first came out with New Jack Swing, a lot of people was trying to bite the New Jack Swing sound, but they couldn't do it is because Teddy had different sounds than everybody else's because Teddy used to stack his drums. No one was doing that. So what I mean by stacking his drums is he would take a snare and then let's just say he would take a bottle, not a bottle can or the bottom of a bottle, and he'd hit it on a table and he'd make that sound and he'd put that sound with the snare and then he'd stack another sound and put it with the snare. And so he would make sounds. And so no one had his sounds and no one had his rhythm of his Jack Swing rhythm because obviously he created it, right? So when he started to notice that people were kind of like trying to do New Jack Swingish stuff, he completely changed his style. And Jane Child, Don't Want to Fall in Love, is one of those remixes where he changed his style. He changed it from the swing style to a different swing style, which was Impeach the President. Impeach the President is a sample that everybody uses. And he changed his style. And that Jane Child song was one of the songs that he switched up his style on. So that's the reason why I like that one.
Okay.
It probably is the biggest like New Jack Swing one-hit wonder. That
absolutely. And I know you don't I know you shouldn't think I know you don't like the number 10, but the reason why I put it at number 10 is because that was the beginning of him kind of like switching it up.
I think most of us would have had it higher. That's why.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Namdi.
Okay. Go ahead, Stevie.
I mean, you know, it was he took it from, because Jane Child was really like this punkish pop artist that had been signed to Warner's, and I remember like, who is Jane Child? But the original pop version just ended up flying up the charts. And I think, who was it? Was it Benny Medina at Warner's rung up Teddy saying, I got like
$70,000 for you.
Yeah, listen, can you do this remix? And if you bought the remix, then there was about 7 mixes. I mean, there was a Knife Feel Good, I mean, they were fantastic mixes.
And to your point, see, this is why I'm making this point. So this is when Teddy left Gene. You get me? Yeah. So Teddy left Gene and completely was like destitute, is because Gene took everything. And so when Benny Medina gave him this remix, you got to understand, okay, so Gene was taking care of all the financials, right? And so Teddy didn't know how much he was getting to produce, to do any kind of production. Gene would give him what he thought he deserved. And you know, you're a kid, you buy you a car and things of that nature, you're like, oh, I'm good. So when Benny Medina, and I'm obviously, Teddy would have to tell you this himself, but speculation, when Benny Medina offers him $70,000 for a remix, what he's doing is offering money to someone that created a genre of music. So now Teddy probably feels like he's getting his worth, when before he was maybe getting $4,000 or $5,000. And so for me, that's big, is because that in retrospect kind of like blew him up to a point where he's like, yo, you know, I've been missing all of this money. And obviously, again, you know, you'd have to speak to Teddy, but I'm saying from perspective of what I would think, I'm getting all this money when how much was I getting before? You know what I mean? And a lot of people that are producers, they go through this, and they've went through this in the 90s. So yeah, shout out to Teddy, man, for that.
He's probably getting a couple of $1,000 to do a mix before that. And he's gone from that to like,
absolutely,
probably life-changing money, you know,
absolutely,
in an instance.
Absolutely.
Before we go forward, your dad, was he a drummer, a piano, a trumpeter?
My father was a drummer, a jazz drummer.
Yes. So Akeem just answered yes. Idris, this is the message where you related to the legendary drummer.
Yeah, that's my dad. That's my father.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Stevie, so what's your number 10?
You know what? I'm not messing about tonight. This ain't about songs. This is about, for me, Teddy Riley Mixes, what he did with the remix. Like I say, like I just was saying, the sounds are used. You know, if you get, I know some of you listening tonight will be deep into your New Jack Swing. You know, there'll be some collectors out there that like dub mixes. I like New Jack Swing, a 6-minute Teddy Riley dub. And it's a bit geeky, that, ain't it? But that's Teddy in his studio, probably at 2-3 in the morning.
Right.
You know, really going for it. He's probably hungry at that time. But anyway, at number 10, I start things off with Hammer, Pumps and a Bump. Not the mix that Hammer's rapping on. It's called Teddy's Bump Mix. Bump, okay. Teddy Bump. And it's just Teddy for six minutes on his vocoder going over a zap groove. And it's just a killer mix, an absolute killer mix.
Okay.
The new jackers will know about this.
Yeah, they know.
He took Hammer out, got on his vocoder, and just, it was a magical mix for about 6 minutes.
Okay.
I'm not messing about tonight, guys.
Okay, I see you. All right.
Okay.
You know, no Rolling Stones nonsense. He's obviously very busy with that role. When he got that Rolling Stones, he was working on his solo album. He probably passed that off to somebody else to remix. We're not messing. These are
probably so.
The proper mixes.
Okay.
Sheldon's number 10. The thing is, he's given me about 12, so it's gonna feel a bit strange as we go down. But his number 10 is Him or Me remix by Today, which was a great extended mix. It's a great track anyway. But any of you got that Motown 12? Good mix, that solid mix.
Okay, that's fair.
My number 9 is a good, it's and I will say it's a remix because he didn't do the original one. It's Right Here, Human Nature remix.
Hold on a minute. You're complaining to him to putting Jane Child at number 10.
Yeah,
You put
because I actually,
number 9.
it's like even lucky to make my top 10.
Oh, you're killing me. You know why? Because I know stories behind all those things. So, but okay, if you like it, I love it.
Yeah.
Only at number 9, Namdi. What is going on tonight?
Yeah.
You've almost got like as Sheldon possessed your body tonight.
So, Nandi, if you're gonna say the ones that he didn't produce, you have to say the person that produced that, which was Walter Mucho Scott, my guy from Basic Black. You got to say who produced it.
I was talking about because it was originally written by Brian Alexander Morgan. So then he did they did the whole remake of the stuff as opposed to let me come up with the concept myself. So when on my list would be stuff that Teddy didn't. But it was at the time it was good, but longer term it doesn't hold me as much as other ones that they did. So, but that was my number 9.
There's always been debates about who did that mix, whether it was. There's always been debates online. I've seen these arguments in forums and Facebook groups about Teddy didn't do the mix. Was it Mucho? Was it the guy who originally produced the SWV
All Star? But no. See, it is. Mucho has talked about them collaborating on it. So he's not, Mucho when on the interview he spoke about, SWV being around, not liking the stuff, and all being in the studio and them collaborating on it. So so there's and even Sprague has also jumped in, so everyone was there.
Yeah, they were all there. Yeah, everybody did it, but okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. So are you confirming that Teddy, are you saying that Teddy had nothing to do with that remix?
No, I'm not saying that at all. Because here's the thing. Teddy just doesn't put anyone in his camp, or Teddy didn't just put anyone in his camp that wasn't talented. Teddy had the last word on everything, but you have to understand, at that particular time, Teddy was getting so much work that you have to get other producers. But even though Teddy got other producers, those producers that he got were not shady at all. They were amazing. You got the freaking Rodney Jerkins, you got the David Wynn, you got the Mucho Walter Scott, you got the Pharrell. I mean, you got the Neptunes, they weren't the Neptunes at the time. So, I mean, the people that he handpicked to do certain remixes, they were amazing. So,
So what makes your number 9?
My number 9 is Booty Call remix.
Wow.
On the Black Street album, the one that goes, he uses the vocoder and it goes boom 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 boom.
Okay, yeah. I like that one. Yeah.
Boom 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 boom. Boom 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 boom. That one was fire.
I put the mix, the maxi single. Oh,
that one was fire.
Yeah. I'm sure Stevie has it right there. Could you remember what version that is?
Was it the booty mix? I can't.
Yeah, it goes booty call.
Yeah.
Booty call.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. I think that sounds like Tony with yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Stevie, what makes your number 9?
I had it quite high up. Jane Child.
Okay, there you go.
The Knife Feel Good mix and the Teddy's Clubber Dub mix.
Okay.
You were talking about his changing sound. It went more. He was incorporating more like house like dance sounds at the time into New Jack. Obviously, the beats were pumping, but on his rhythms and his keyboards, I thought it was very house sounding, reminiscent of like 12-inch mix of Guy's Her, which again went from the more house dance.
Right, I got you.
It's got elements of that in, but he did a great job in these mixes. I wasn't a big fan of a voice, and I think on the Clubber Dub, he minimizes a voice, so you're just getting the mix really. And what was Sheldon's number 9? Hold on, he's gone for a couple of Boy George tracks. Found Another Guy and Don't Take My Love on a Trip remix.
Don't take my mind on a trip.
Yeah. Which, you know, they were pretty solid.
Yeah, they were solid.
Okay. We're down to the number 8, and I got this one was a collab he did with Janet Jackson, and he had Queen Pen, and I think he had who was it? I think it was Not a Butter, and this Go Deep remix.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice.
I mean, some people
on Virgin that.
Some people said they liked the Timberland and Missy one. I didn't like that one compared to the Teddy one. Or maybe because I was just a big Teddy fan, but I loved the whole vibe of that Go Deep remix. So that was my number 8.
That's cool.
Yes.
My turn?
Yes, your turn.
All right, so I would have to say this is what are we at now?
Number 8.
We're at number 8. Okay, I would have to say the what is this remix? It was on the tip of my tongue. The Girl I Got My Eyes on You remix from Today.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Extended mix.
The extended mix.
Yeah.
The extended mix. Girl I Got My Eyes on You.
Huge 12-inch that.
Yeah. And you know what's so crazy is that so like the first single was Him, Me. So Bub's all over that, right? And so the second one is Girl I Got My Eyes on You with Chief singing leads, right? And that song went like it went in like in a pop genre. You know what I mean? Because Chief has that falsetto. And like the beginning, what Teddy used to like to do, and he did this with another song, which is on my list also. He'd have all of these sounds and stuff like that, and all of these we used to call them back then. We used to call them vants because we didn't have a name for them. Is because Teddy created this sound. So what he would do, they were orchestra hits, and they would go vant, 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 and so on Girl I Got My Eyes on You, it starts like van, 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 doom, 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 ba-doom, ba-doom, boom, doom, 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 ba-doom, ba-doom, boom, doom, 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 ba-doom, ba-doom, boom, doom, doom, van, 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 and boom, doom, doom, doom. Then the cowbells are coming. Oh, it's crazy. Crazy. And so so that's my number 8. Shout out to Today. Shout out to Chief West, Love, and Bub. Shout out.
Yeah, Stevie, what about you?
There was many remixes of Blackstreet's "Baby Be Mine" issued at the time. My favorite remix was if he was in the UK at the time. MCA issued 2 12-inch singles. There was a black cover and there was a white cover, and on the white cover on the B side, it was the radio remix, and it wasn't long. It was about 3 minutes long, and it sampled the whole music and melody was from Robbie Neville's "C'est La Vie." Some of you may remember that mix.
Yeah,
nice
one.
And it was completely different.
Nice one.
Completely different to the CB4 mix.
Yeah, nice one.
The 6-minute bounce mixes that came out with the Zap sample, but it was a brilliant radio mix, and I think it only came out on that 12-inch and also some of the US promo 12s.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
CD. I think I've got one of them long 9 mixes CD singles, which cost a lot of money. It's on one of them. Fantastic mix, an absolute amazing mix.
Okay.
Sheldon's number, what are we on, 7 yet? 8 or 7?
Number 7, yeah.
Right, he's gone for Cool Mo D, They Want Money remix again.
Okay.
Which I've got a track back from last week, because I kind of said on last week's podcast that I didn't feel Cool Mo D did a killer. I thought he did solid tracks, but no killer Teddy Riley tracks. I'm taking that back, and I'm going to say They Want Money. That is, I've listened to that this week. It's a killer track. That there's no messing about. That is a killer track.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So my number 7 is No Diggity Billie Jean remix.
Okay.
And actually, it was because I remember the first time I think I heard it was actually when they did their concert, and just watching. Yeah, I went to, when they came to. I was in Milwaukee then. That was the New Edition,
Okay.
and all of a sudden they just did Billie Jean, and I was like, what the. I love the whole Billie Jean No Diggity, the whole interpretation of that. I wish they actually released that version as well.
That is
But
a good version.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
That's my number 7.
All right, my number 7 is. I go now. My number 7.
Yes.
You're
All right,
too keen, Idris. You're too keen.
my number 7. See, I'm going with Teddy has changed with the times, right? So I'm going. My number 7 is again Booty Call, but the Casey and the Sunshine Band remix, right? And I'm gonna tell you, you know the one that goes, do do do.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Ain't no fall like a booty call.
Right.
Booty call
And the reason why I'm going with that one is because at that time there was this group called the Whoop There It Is, Whoop There It Is. Those kind of, and then Ghost Town DJs. It was all about like Miami bass kind of like style. And so Teddy completely switched his style up with that one. So I'm gonna go with that one for my number 7.
Surprise, very surprising there.
Yeah, surprise.
What about you, Stevie?
What were your number
7?
What was your number 7, Namdi?
No Diggity, Billie Jean.
Right, and what was my number 7? Number 7 for me was Rex and Effects, Ready or Not from the House Party 2. But there was a promotional 12-inch issued with an extended. There's an extended mix, vocal mix, and a Rex and Effects version where he got to play his jazzy keyboard sound at the end. It went on for about a minute. Incredible mix. So,
okay.
And I'm just looking at Namdi's.
Sheldon.
Sorry, Sheldon's number. You're looking at he's got My Fantasy remix guy.
Okay.
3 mixes of that issue. There's an extended mix. I don't know if anyone remembers the rap mix where there's a mix where Teddy just rapped all the way through it on the B side. That was a good mix. That
was a good mix. Yep.
Yeah. So that's a big mix.
Okay. We're down to number 6.
We're flying through it now.
Yeah, my number 6. I had to put down Jane Child, Don't Want to Fall in Love, and
okay.
It was as I said, it's a track that even if you listen to it now, and he does the to find out that was his saving grace to get him back in the game, and it blew up just like that. I don't know if we're listening to it because we know. I mean, for me, it was like, oh, that's a Teddy track, but it pretty much took a song out of obscurity and just made it a massive hit. That even when I was in the UK, it was a big hit. So, yeah, if I listen to it now, I can still get into it as well. So, yeah. So that was my number 6.
Well, it's interesting. It's in all of our top 10s this evening.
Oh, absolutely.
So we all kind of recognize it as like one of Teddy's kind of big mixes that changed.
Absolutely. What are we at? Number 6? My number 6 for Teddy is another game changer that I thought was pretty cool because everybody was trying to bite at the time. The remix of the actual New Jack Swing song when he's like, everything is made by man, and all of a sudden it goes, da, da, and then he shows, it's the video at the end, and it shows like spotlights of everybody.
Yeah.
The New Jack Swing remix. I really like that one.
Oh, Rex and Effects, New Jack Swing.
Yeah, Rex and Effect.
Yeah, the long mix.
Yeah.
There was that, and there was 2 mixes of that, weren't there? Again, there was a more like dancier club mix issue.
Right. And then there was a more hip hop one. And I really love that one is because that is when, in my opinion, back then, a lot of people didn't really look at credits. You know what I mean? And so, and I like that one because that song is where he told who he produced. I got Boy George, Xana Man. I mean, he was like, yo, this is what I'm doing. And I love that. A Redhead, James Ing, Deja, and my homeboy's guy. I mean, and he just telling like Keith Sweat. And so that's what I like. And everybody was there at the video shoot. So, if you wanted to see stars of that time, you want to go to that video shoot. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Stevie, what about you? What makes you number 6?
This one. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh,
True.
My
That's
attitude.
My Attitude. Bit of a rarity on CD single. This cost you a lot of money if you can find it. Hell of a lot of money.
True.
Yeah. He did the club
Okay.
remix, 12-inch hip hop mix.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys remember that mix at all.
I don't remember it. I
It's
have
on
to check it
12-inch,
out.
but it was a
So
big
12
mix,
inch. Okay.
completely different from their own album mix.
Okay.
But yeah.
So when I interviewed Mucho and I asked him for his favorite Teddy production, he says that was his all-time favorite production of that remix or stuff that from Teddy. Troops, that's my attitude. Because then Teddy, that's my attitude. And then with Rex and Effects over I'll Kill rapping, and yeah. So he put. I hadn't heard it until Mucho mentioned it, so it didn't make my top 10 just because I had. But I mean, it's a great mix. It's a great track. But at the time when it came out, I didn't hear it. But that's Mucho said that's his all-time favorite Teddy production.
It's got Rex and Effects rapping on it as well.
Yeah, so
yeah,
he says,
it's like people like Mucho, and I mean, they're in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? They see what it takes. You get what I mean? So I get what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Sheldon had the Winans It's Time remix. That was a big mix as well at the time.
Okay.
Big set, about 7 mixes on the 12-inch.
Okay.
Okay. I got it. Sheldon, I like that. Okay, so let me tell you. So like this is another what's the word? Example of Teddy changing his style. If you listen to what was it? It's the Winans, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if you listen to that, the way that beat progression is, and then songs like My Next Remix, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But I'll tell you my next remix. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, so my number 5, the only track that they came out with in the UK in the US that actually had a hit club, broke into the top 10. And that was 4 young ladies from the UK that blew up in the US with Stay. And it was the album version. It was Teddy that did the remix of that album and of that track, and that was just popping.
Who was it, Namdi?
Oh, Eternal.
Okay.
I had that. I had it number 9, and I took it out for Jane Child.
Are you serious?
Really?
No, but you have to understand, it was such a big track, and we didn't know of them. And I was living in the US at this time, and so like this stay, like, wow, okay.
There they are. They're the
okay.
And it was just like, yes, did the whole. I remember when I mentioned last week when we did a lot of my tracks. I said, "Let's Stay Together," and "Don't Leave Me" by the Winans. It was the whole drumming, and this is where Teddy, when he does his drum programming at that time, was really, Timbaland has took a lot of that, the shine of it now in the Neptunes, but he really focused on the drumming and then the tracks on the back of that. And I think later on, he just that element of his production kind of slipped away, where he didn't focus too much on the drums, and I think he over relied on the vocoder. But in the 80s, when he was at his best, the beat, the drums were the main thing, and everything on top of that. And Stay was that was a massive hit. Yeah,
that was a hit. That was it. All right, my number 5 is a remix of "Fix" by Blackstreet. If you need a fix, because he.
Well, are you just making them up? Are you just picking songs?
Oh, I'm not making them up. I'm not making. If there's a video out and Old Dirty Bastards in it, I think.
Yeah.
He uses like a rock sample.
I was disappointed with that one. I was thought, man, even the original version was a little bit. Yeah, I'll
tell you what, Namdi, the remix you like of that on the CD single, there was a mix called the Smooth Show Ma remix. A brilliant mix.
Oh, okay.
I think it's probably the best mix, actually.
Okay.
Smooth Show Ma remix.
Yeah, thinking of that, when I think about mixes for, anyway, I don't want to bring up when we do our near misses, then I'll put up some of the stuff. But anyway, okay. Stevie, what about yourself?
I'll just give a few shout outs to people because that message box is well busy. Tuned in tonight, we got M Mac, we got Big Mikes, we got Zach, we got Akin, we got Music Lover. Big shout to DJ Morella, Marquis, Joseph is tuned in. Who else we got in there tonight? Get your shouts in now.
Yeah.
Colin
See that Big Mike?
Martin.
Everyone hated that fixed remix. I thought it was a strange one.
You didn't like it?
Slavic Ron's tuned in. Yeah, we've got
Yeah,
loads tonight. Richard's
Sonia.
tuned in. Thank you for joining us tonight. Right, where we at? Number
Number
five.
5.
Right,
Okay.
I've gone for a complete obscurity this and a complete mystery because I never know who this guy was and I always wanted to know who he was. And I did ask you last time, Idris, about this guy. Maybe you could tell me about him again. But number 5, I've gone for Billy Davis, a 12-inch on GOT Records called I Want You. And it had about 7 mixes on. And I went for the club mix, the 7-inch version mix, and the dub. Billy Davis, I Want You.
Yeah, I think, I heard that one guy, that one song, and I never heard anything else from him. So I don't have any information on Mr. Billy Davis.
Did you ever meet with Billy Davis? Did you know who he was? Or
The name sounds familiar, but I can't say it. But I did. I can't say. I'm sorry. I can't.
just like I say, who is this guy? But
Yeah.
there is currently a CD single online for a crazy price of $350.
Wow. Okay. Well,
you could probably get the 12-inch for about $10 shipped to your house. But
well, there you
I
go.
promise you, it's a brilliant record.
Okay.
It's absolutely brilliant. Right, and we've got Sheldon's. I'm getting a bit confused here because he lists loads. Right, so after the Winans, he's got Wanna Get With You remix, Teddy's Jam remix, and you have Guy, so I'm going to link them 2 mixes together.
Okay.
Plus he's 12, so I'm going to link one more mix with that. And he's also listed Soul to Soul Keep On Moving remix, which I was never a big fan of that mix.
Because that track didn't need a remix, and I don't think his remix even made it. You wouldn't even notice the difference. I think that was.
Oh, there was a big difference. There was a big difference in that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I listen, I would.
I'm not convinced he did that mix because the loop goes out of time. If you listen to it, it's like, and you're like, well, what? It's going out of time. This mix.
Yeah, sort of like my whole ARB album out of time is going out of time.
Oh, Teddy's not done that. There's no way.
No, he didn't do that.
Do that mix.
That whole album was mixed improperly. But anyway, go ahead, Nando.
Yeah, so my number 4. It's hard because, as I said,
number 4 already.
Went for number 4 already. I went for tracks, guys, that Teddy Riley didn't do the original production.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hard for me to leave out the fact that I was a big fan of. Well, somebody has just beat me to it. The remake of Joy, the Keith Murray remix with the Most Beautiful Girl in the Air.
Uptown Joy mix.
Is what?
Uptown Joy mix.
Yeah, Uptown Joy mix. I mean, I loved that version, that remix. I think that was one of my favorite mixes or remixes. Yeah, that Joy.
Yeah, everybody knows that was originally from Michael.
Yeah, I think he should have done that and removed Heal the World from that album. I mean, he should have kept that. And okay.
So what are we on? What are we on? Number 4 now? All right, my number 4 is the I Like remix. I Like remix. You know what? Here's the sounds of Guy. I like it. Have you ever heard that one?
No.
I thought
what?
I didn't like it. I'll be honest.
You didn't?
Oh, didn't work for me, that mix.
Okay, so
the album mix amazing though. Album mix amazing.
I loved it. I guess because it's kind of like, for me, it was sort of like the Girl I Got My Eyes on You remix, right? And he's like going through all of these sounds and all of these, like, I think it was like it was an extended version. So that was my joint.
No, I do remember it well. I just remember it. It just sounds. I just don't think as a mix, it survived the test of time. I just thought it was battery sounding. It was like you know, it could have done with an edit. There's bits about that mix you could take out now and make a better mix of. But
You probably could, but that, you know, that was a time.
I'm
But
not
yeah,
a remix producer, and it's not fair, you know.
yeah.
But I was
Because how do you make something that's already amazing better? You get what I'm saying? So like the song I like, is an amazing song. So I guess, you know, how do you make it? He speeded it up and, you know, extended it, but I liked it. I used to drive to that all the time.
Stevie, what about yourself?
Number 4. There was again a lot of mixes issued at the time of this. We've got Teddy Riley, Tammy Lucas. Is It Good to You? The mix that I'm going to talk about wasn't on this CD single because there's about how many mixes on this? There's 6 mixes on this. The mix I'm going to talk about is the Black Radio mix, which was on a bit again. It was on the B side of a UK 12-inch. I don't even think it's been on CD. I don't think it ever got issued. Again, it was a shorter, more radio style mix. It was completely different to the Juice album mix. It had a rap. I think it had rap from Rex and Effects on it.
Oh, yeah, that's a hip hop one, yeah.
So
yeah, it was a hip hop one.
Collectors know about that mix because we're all like,
right.
why is it not on CD? But look out for it because there is on this. It says on the radio mix. Don't get it. It's not that mix. It's called the Black Radio mix.
The Black Radio mix. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant mix. So there you go. Zach says there is a 5-track US CD. Yeah, there is. I think I got another 8-track promo CD single. Right, okay. Sheldon's gone for next. He went for Jane Child's remix. So he's number 4.
Okay.
Gone for that mix as well.
Okay. Yeah, I can't believe it. We're down to our top 3. And yeah, so my number 3 is probably a track that I really, 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 really loved. But really, and I remember winning this when I was watching Video Soul, and they, you know, at that point in time. Oh, Idris, has he disappeared from us? Okay, there you are. Yeah, I remember getting this album along with the Bobby Brown album and the Shy album on VH1. And I got it, and I see that Teddy had done two remixes, and it was My Life, Mary J. off her What's the 411 remix. I just, and with Heavy doing the rap and everything, just loved that track. I still listen to it now. I know that Mucho did a lot more of the vocal in that, on there's an extended mix with Mucho.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, and there's an extended mix with Mucho on there, but that just love that the whole mix with Teddy, with Heavy D, and yeah. Idris, can you hear us? Okay, he just kind of went in and stuff. For anyone just joining us, we've got Idris Muhammad from, he was part of GR Productions, ARB, and he rapped on Nothing But a Party with Basic Black. We're going for our top 10 Teddy Riley remixes. We were supposed to be doing remixes. Well, we mixed it up. So my list would have remixes that Teddy didn't do the original production. We're waiting for Idris to come back.
And if you missed it, Namdi's got the Rolling Stones at number 10. I can't believe it. He's got Rolling Stones, and it was David Foster, but he has.
Yeah. Okay, Idris, it's your turn now.
All right, my turn. My turn. Can you hear me? My turn is you guys are gonna kill me on this one, but this is like my hip hop love and things of that night. The Dog Me Out remix by Guy.
Great mix.
Yo, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Now you're talking.
So listen, this is the reason why I loved it so much, is because this is when he left Gene. They had the Future album, and he performed that damn shit on Arsenio Hall. If you go and look at Guy on Arsenio Hall, Dog Me Out remix, and Akil and Teddy, and Aaron, they're all in the audience and stuff. It's crazy. So,
Yeah.
That's my joint.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, if we were both on all on the same page, I would have had some different. I would have had a lot of different tracks in there.
Right.
Okay, so just an update: SZA isn't going to break Michael Jackson's record because she just missed out on one of her Grammys. So she,
Okay.
yes. So, but anyway, Stevie, what makes your number 3?
Out of my big three remixes now. I just remember when this remix came out, I wasn't expecting it. It just came out, and I've heard it so many times in clubs. I've heard the sound and how it resonates in a club, and it always gives me goosebumps. But it's SWV right here, the Human Nature mix, and the way
number 3.
use human nature and that drum rhythm that's been sampled on so many other tracks throughout the 90s.
Right.
You know, ripped that drum loop off, didn't they? But I don't know if Teddy must have done that drum loop on that mix. He must have done it. Unless Mucho comes in here and absolutely destroys me for saying that. Well, that sounds like a Teddy. It was just so unique that he just got sampled to death, but incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Both Mucho and Sprague have said this was the TR camp that did the production.
Right.
Brian Alexander Morgan he says that All Star did the drums and brought it to Virginia Beach, and they just remixed it. So, but you've got two people from the TR camp saying one thing, and you've got All Star hasn't publicly said anything, but it's just Brian that has said that. So, Brian was a great guest. I think there was elements of he still wasn't upset. He was upset about Teddy using that track on the verses and not getting the credit for it. So there is that stuff. But ultimately, I'll just go with what Mucho and Sprague have said about how they came up with the whole stuff, and a great song anyway. Yes.
Right. Okay. Sheldon's he's got 5. He's got 5 listed here, so I want to mention a few. With number 3, he just throws these in at the bottom. Mary J. Blige remix of My Love, and then he's got Wanna Get With You, Guy, and then he's got James Ingram extended mix of Love Come Down.
Okay.
It's got to be It's Real. It has to be It's Real. But I'll stop there because he's got a few there.
Okay.
I know he's got a few there, but
so my number 2, as I said, guys, I mean, there's some people. There's some other tracks I wish I could have done if I did a different list. But my number 2 is I Get So Lonely, Janet Jackson featuring Blackstreet. It's that's my number 2.
Wow.
Okay.
It just missed out on being on getting to number 1. It went gold when it stopped at number 2. I don't know who held it off. I think maybe One Sweet Day or something like that stopped it from getting to number 1, but on the Billboard 100. But it was a really good filler for Blackstreet because they've just done the whole Another Level album was out,
right,
and they were in between working on the Finally album, and hence after the success of that, they got Janet to feature on Boyfriend Girlfriend,
right,
that track. But such a massive track, with as I said, unfortunately Teddy used it on verses, and Babyface says, "Hey, wasn't that Jimmy and Terry's track?" I wish I could have been Teddy's umpire, coach in that verses, because he could have beaten Babyface easily with his bangers anyway. But it's nothing taken away from as a remix package compared to the original. It was one of the best I've heard, and it was a big track.
Okay, that's cool. Mine is the Human Nature remix, and my number 2, and I'm going to tell you why. My first of all, I was in England when the Thriller album came out. All right, I was in England, living in England, and everybody was getting around the television when the actual Michael Jackson Thriller album was coming out. I mean, everybody, you know, not the album, the video, it was everywhere. And next thing you know, the album comes out and I hear Human Nature. My brother used to love to sing Human Nature. But when I started to find out that Human Nature was written by the guy from Toto, the group Toto.
Yeah.
And I also found out that he wrote it about his daughter. That song was for his daughter. And how it could go from that to SWV was amazing for me, because you have to understand, back then they weren't allowing a lot of samples from Michael Jackson. They weren't allowing that. So like when he got to do it, or when Teddy's camp got to do it, that was crazy within itself. That was like, because no one was allowed to sample Michael Jackson like that. He just wasn't, people weren't given permission. And so that for me was great, because that also, if you remember, rebuilt SWV's career. You get what I mean? So, I mean, and not saying it was going anyway, but that remix kind of like put him back on the map. And still today, you have people like Chris Brown using it. You get what I mean? So that was my number 2.
Yeah. Just to answer you, the question here, All This Love by Patti LaBelle actually was an original production, even though it was a remake of the Babyface of the El Barge, the Barge, but it was the original production. He did, you know, when he did All This Love, and he did This World Is All. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Human Nature remix. Yeah, I think it just it was big when I started, but it eventually got. It's not one that I can continue to listen to now.
Okay.
That's why it made my number 9.
Heard.
Stevie,
hold on a minute, Nam. You're telling me you listen more to the Rolling Stones remix than you do the.
Hey, but that's my Rolling Stones is number 10. So, so what about you, Steve? What's number 2?
Number 2, I tied 2 Guy remixes together because they were huge. The Dog Me Out mixes, which were just incredible. You know, they were just I think as well, when you go back to that Arsenio Hall, I think Guy were at the peak of their powers then.
Oh, crazy. Yeah.
Just absolutely at the peak. It didn't get any better than that, I thought. When you look back now and you think, gosh, man. But I tied it with Teddy's. There's the Teddy's Jam 2 mixes. There's a load of these remixes.
Right.
Again, this is quite a collectible promotional CD single if you can get hold of it. But they're in the extended Teddy's Rubber Dub remixes. Oh, just the heaven. They are New Jack Swing heaven, these mixes. So, and we'll go to Sheldon's number 2 again. He's listed loads of tracks, but he's got, I don't know, he's got Heavy D and the Boys. We Got Our Own Thing.
Okay.
And then I'll leave. He's got 2 left. I'll leave it because I'm not sure which is his number 1, but I'll leave it for the next one.
Okay.
So what we do is what we normally do now. We kind of recount our top 10, but then we also actually go from 20 down to 2. So if there were, you don't have to go for 20, but you may have songs that you would have put in but didn't make your top 10. Honorable mentions.
I hope you remembered mine, because I didn't write them down.
It's fine. But anyway, I'm starting off. So here's my tracks that I wish I could have put in here. And mind you guys, these were my tracks I wish I could have put in here. Is there was Baby Doll that he did for Tony.
Okay.
Do You Like What You See? A track that he
Samuel
did for Samuel, yes. A friend of mine, he did for Club Nouveau, the production on there. Actually, I don't know how many guys remember his remix from In Sync, Bye Bye Bye.
No, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was really pretty. I like that one. It was, yeah.
I felt at that time, and again going back to the Janet Jackson, I Get Lonely. I feel he changed. He was too influenced by Timbaland, as a lot were in the late 90s, because it was like that scatter beats, slowed down scatter beats, and you're hearing that on a lot of his late 90s remixes. I thought. including
Yeah, but because those are the things that Teddy unfortunately didn't stay in his lane and just be innovative. And yeah, so Timbaland actually did some programming on "I Get So Lonely," but yeah, and then he got influenced by what Puffy was doing. I think everyone was.
Right.
So unfortunately, just that just meant everyone just kind of looking for the next big thing.
Right.
Actually, when you think of the original Blackstreet album, there was a lot of West Coast influence because he started to go to George Clinton samples instead of sticking to his James Brown samples.
Right.
So there was a sense of, well, look what's happening off the West Coast. Let's incorporate some of that in what we're
Right.
doing. So that was, I don't know, Precious and stuff. I also put changes I've been going through, Mary J. Blige. I just love the beats in that and just
forgot about that one actually.
Yeah, that was a big one. Stand by Your Man with Tammy Lucas singing the hook for LL Cool J.
Okay.
It was, and it just felt strange because he was there giving Kumo his biggest hits, like Death Blow and all that stuff against LL Cool J, and now he comes and works with LL on Stand By Your Man remix, and I can't forget the Remember the Time remixes. There was one, I can't remember which version of this remix was, but as Teddy says, I remember when we fell in love, we fell in love, and I'm listening to it, I'm thinking, I wish that was the original version.
Right.
And I think I wish that they had allowed Teddy to just have done New Jack on those tracks and not make it too mechanical and too safe, because I just loved the remix of that. And finally, I don't know if anyone remembers, there was another English, she's Irish. I don't know, Stevie might, if I've just said she's Irish, Teddy did have her biggest track.
Yeah,
you know who I'm talking
about?
Samantha Mamba.
Yeah,
Gotta tell you. Got it,
Teddy,
this time, good, yes, he did. Oh God, gotta tell you, and actually, it was very similar to the Go Deep type of remix, but there was like this girl over there just said, "Got it." That was actually a really good. It came out in the 2000s, so Colin, you weren't a big fan of that, Colin, but it was. As I said to guys, anything Teddy came out with, I bought, regardless of how good or bad it was.
Yeah.
So
listen, during that time, he was collecting the bag.
Oh, absolutely.
He was getting money paid for, but he was coming up with some big stuff. So yeah, so those were my sort of honorable mentions and stuff like that. But my all-time number one.
Hold on, you need to count down from 10 to 1, 10 to 2. Now.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, thanks for that. So number 10, Love Is Strong, Rolling Stones.
Oh,
this was a big deal. This was a big deal when Rolling Stones came out with their brand new album. They got $100 million from Virgin Records to come out with a new album. Their first single was Love Is Strong. Virgin went to Teddy Riley to do a remix of their first single. So that was a massive deal. So that was my number 10. I was like, I remember buying the CD. Number 9 for me was Right Here, Human Nature remix. Number 8 was Go Deep, Janet Jackson featuring Teddy Riley and Queen Pin and Under Butter. Number 7 was Don't Want to Fall in Love, Jane Child. Number 6 was Stay. Stay by Eternal. Number 7 was Billie Jean remix, Blackstreet. Number 5 was Stay. Sorry, I've already said number 5 was Stay. Number 3 was My Life, Mary J. Blige. And my number 2 was I Get So Lonely, Janet and Blackstreet. And my ultimate...
Number 1, what we got for number 1?
Ultimate remix from Teddy Riley that he didn't produce. I'm So Into You, featuring Rex and Effect. Check 1, check 2. I'm so into you. Oh goodness, that is. I mean, I listen to that so often, and I had to tell Brian, and Brian says, yeah, he just extended it for a few weeks. And I said, Brian, man, that track made the group, just people listen to that album, that song, That whole check one, check two, I'm so into you. Amazing track, amazing production. Probably, yeah, my best Teddy Riley remix.
Big mix.
Big one.
That's a big mix. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a curveball. I didn't know you was going to hit with that.
Well, it is number one. You got to have a big one at number one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my honorable mentions are What You Gonna Do About My Love, Mary J. Blige with Heavy D.
Okay.
My also because I really like this group. I really loved High Five. I love their story. So my honorable mentions are Just Can't Handle It remix, High Five, and Kissing Game. Kissing Game remix, High Five. Those are my honorable mentions. And the reason why is because for Just Can't Handle It, that was written partly by Bernard Bell. If you kind of like listen to the beginning, he'd be like, "Yo, man, she's too old for you, man. She's too old for you." That's Bernard Bell.
Okay.
And so rest in peace to Bernard Bell. But those are my two honorable mentions. Like I said, I can't remember my 10.
Well, you had two booty call tracks in your top 10.
Two booty call tracks in it shows where my mind is at, or where my mind was at around that time. But my number one is Remember the Time remix. That's my number one. And the reason, the remix. And the reason why is because that was such a big record for Michael, in my opinion, with the video and things of that nature. And it had so many celebrities in the video. And that also, because I tell stories about my influence, my experiences. That was that was like Teddy's "fuck you" to Gene. You get what I'm saying? That was like, look, bro, I can do whatever I can do Michael. How about that? And so, I know I'm showing a lot of controversy, but that was his, because what people fail to realize is that even though Teddy left Gene got a big percentage of the publishing at that particular time that Teddy, the production that Teddy did after, because Gene would sign people to like ironclad contracts with like 75% of their publishing. Now, I'm not going to say that that's how much Teddy got Gene, or Gene got Teddy for, but he is pretty ruthless. And so with that Remember the Time remix, or that Remember the Time actual production for Michael Jackson, for me, that's why I love that so much.
Yeah, as I said, that was because he had different mixes, and but and we said it last week when we did our Teddy productions, and that was the song that almost like reintroduced Michael back to the Black community. We all say, "Oh, Absolutely. Come back home." Yeah, we missed you in bad. But you're our brother with Remember the Time. He went back to Africa, the whole Egypt stuff, and
right.
Like, anything from then on, he got his love back for the community, and
right.
So that was a big track for him. But I think that he played it safe with the album version, but the remixes that Teddy did, I love the remixes of those.
I'm talking about like this. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. Killing it. See, you got to be in the studio. I mean, these guys, when they're in the studio, their heads are nodding like this, and then they have that look on their face like something stunk. Like it's just crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, Teddy at his best.
Listening to the remixes and stuff is one thing, but seeing them work is completely different. You know what I mean? Seeing these guys work and the work that they do and the time they put in is completely different. You would have much more respect for these remixes and these songs when you see the work they put in. You know what I mean? So I was blessed enough to see a lot of that stuff. So that's a blessing.
Wow. Stevie.
Yeah, because like you say, it's before laptops, because all producers are doing now are sat on laptops making 2.5 minute tracks on a laptop, the same trickly trap drum sounds, which I'm bored.
Right. Right. And I just got to say one thing, Steve. When I was saying earlier that, Teddy changed the game for music, he also changed the game when it came to touring. You got to understand, Teddy was the first producer or the first musician to bring a drum machine on tour. So basically, everybody else before Teddy was not, they weren't, they, what Teddy would do, he would link the drum machine up to the song, to the progression of the songs. Like, so that's why the Guy album, when you would see Guy on stage, the sound would be so full, is because he would bring the drum machine, and then Abe, the guy that's hands was up all the time like that playing the drums, he would be synchronizing with the drum machine. It was crazy, man. It was crazy.
To extend what you're talking about there, when I went to see Guy in 1990 at the Apollo in Manchester, my big concern was like, how is he going to create this New Jack Swing sound live with just the band playing? I was like, how's he going to do this? Because I wanted to hear that lately bass sound, that synth lately. How's he going to do it? But he did it. Like you said, it was all there. There was live drumming, but there was also that. It was incredible. It was like
if you listen to that bass sound was out. Teddy is the one that not created it, but started using that bass. That bass sound I heard the first time, 2 times. One on this group called, they made this song called Rap's New Generation.
That's the one.
And then he also used it on Go See the Doctor by Kool D. That bass sound. I mean, so the man is a beast, man. He's a beast, right? He's a beast.
Just to answer this question before Stevie goes. No, so Guy, when forced to do Guy 3, MCA approached them, and Teddy had just been, Guy had just been, so Blackstreet had just been dropped by Interscope, and so there was an opportunity to go to MCA, Universal, to do the Guy 3 album. The issue was that they just weren't in the right space, and half of the tracks were from 911.
Yeah.
Spend
Time with You were from 911. Have you heard Diesel's version? Have you heard Diesel's version?
Yeah, I did, and that's
it's crazy. But that was that, and I think Misery.
Misery.
Yeah.
There was
They were both 911. They were both 911 tracks. Now Basic Black actually had a song called No More Mr. Nice Guy that was pretty cool. That had a great remix. But yeah, those songs were 911 songs. Those 2 at least were 911 songs. I don't know about the other ones, but those were definitely.
Stevie.
I'll just mention a few honorable mentions that nobody's mentioned. JT Taylor, 8 Days a Week. There was a TR club mix and a sax mix on the MCA 12-inch.
One of the issues I had with that, Stevie, was the fact that just like James Ingram, I just didn't think JT dancing and doing the whole
Listen to the sax mix on YouTube with no JT in it. It'll blow your head away, that mix.
Really? I got to check that one out.
Yeah, the sax mix. What else? Mr. Bobby Brown, Getaway. There was like 8 mixes on this. Teddy's tribal mix and dub mix for the real connoisseurs of Teddy Riley.
Nice.
Remember Terrell, Distant Lover, extended mix?
Yeah.
Montel Jordan, Falling, the Teddy Riley remix. Some debate he didn't do that. Maybe it was Sprague or Mucho. It is one that no one's mentioned, and it's a very laid-back hot summer kind of mix. Queen Latifah, Just Another Day.
I never heard that one.
That's a
very
good one.
looping, laid back. Just another day and
that's a good one. That's a good one
for the summer. Again, I don't know if Teddy did this mix, but it says remixed by the New Jack Swing crew. Brick City on Motown. Say You Like mix. Again, some of the connoisseurs will maybe have that mix. But yeah, they're my honourable mentions. Right, I had number 10, Hammer Pumps and a Bump, the Teddy's Bump mix with no hammer, actually. Took Hammer out. Number 9, Jane Child, Don't Want to Fall in Love. Blackstreet, Baby Be Mine, the radio remix. Rex and Effects, Ready or Not extended mix. Troop, That's My Attitude, the hip hop mix. Billy Davis, Search That Record Out, People, I Want You. Billy Davis. Number 4, Teddy Riley and Tammy Lucas, Is It Good to You? The Black Radio mix. Number 3, SWV, Right Here, Human Nature mix. Guy, I tied Teddy's Jam and Dog Me Out. Before I give you my number 1, I'll give you Sheldon's. He's got 2 here. I don't know. He's got Star Point, I Want You, You Want Me remix.
Okay. Rest in peace.
You know, respect to that, Sheldon. And he also lists the extended mix of Keith Sweat's Make It Last Forever and Jackie McGee, which is a killer mix. But my number 1, listen, if you should know by now, watching this podcast, probably one of my favorite New Jacks. It probably is the best New Jack Swing record ever made. And it was on a soundtrack, and it was issued as a single with an extended mix and a dub mix. It still is the greatest New Jack Swing. It's got the Lately bass in it. It's got Tammy Lucas on it. It's got one of the greatest New Jack Swingers on it as well. Singers. It's Bubba, I Like Your Style, at number 1.
That's a nice one.
It's pure New Jack Swing heaven for me. It doesn't get any better than that. And there's the CD single on Motown, which will set you back about £50. Get the 12-inch if you can.
But was it a remix?
Yes, it was an extended vocal mix. 12-inch extended vocal version, dub mix, an instrumental about 7 minutes long. Motown.
Didn't he use the same bass line from the Today You Stood Me Up?
No.
I like your stuff. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Got you.
I tell you what, that dub mix, there's bits on that dub mix and the extent that are not on the house party version.
Really?
Yeah. It's just magic, this.
I'm about to listen to it now. I'm about to re-listen to it.
Extended vocal mix. Doesn't get any better, guys.
Yeah, as I said, I probably, I probably would have thought differently with some of the tracks. But I mean, that made my top 5 Teddy Riley productions. But I haven't heard the extended mix. And maybe sometimes I've heard the extended mix. I could have put Let's Stay Together remix.
Well, it is your birthday, Namdi. I might just send these mixes over to you. And I know you like Bobby Brown. We might throw in Bobby Brown in that. Some Teddy's tribal mixes for your birthday.
No,
that's common.
But I guess I mean it's the remix is really I think that's one of the things that Teddy was really good at taking a track and making it a different song.
Absolutely.
Puffy says he invented remix. It's very funny when he comes up with those kind of statements. But I guess there's not enough credit gives to Teddy with the remixes. I think so. As a pure fan, I didn't like when he did remixes for other people because I thought he just was, Babyface wouldn't do that. Neither would Jimmy and Terry. So I'm thinking that Teddy, you're one of the pillars. You don't need to be doing remixes. You can get your camp to do that.
Right.
But it was stuff that they were getting paid a lot of money. I mean, R. Kelly would get loads of money to do the whole Janet's was it Anytime Any Place remix that took that track to another level. So they were just given loads of money to get the remix done by these guys. So you can't turn it down, as you said. So much work. You can give Mucho, Sprague, and the rest of the guys to do the stuff, and Teddy just has to put his name at the end of it just to sometimes.
Listen, we were spoiled. We were so spoiled back then for what was coming out. Just so.
Oh yeah, I mean they had different so sometimes like Teddy would go to LA and rent out 3 rooms in the studio because he had so much work that he had to do. And so one person would be in this studio and the other one would be in this room and Teddy would be in another room because they had so much work. Everybody wanted remixes from him and things of that nature. So, and that was a very interesting time is because they had big budgets, you know what I mean? They had $1 million budgets and a good percentage of it went to like the top producers for remixes. I remember like when Pharrell was getting like $250,000 for one remix.
Yeah.
or for one song rather. So it's like, now it's changed a lot, but yeah.
Aki, thanks for the birthday wishes. But Idris,
Yeah,
can you
man.
tell
Happy
us
birthday.
about
Huh?
how did things end with you guys at GR production at GR Gene Griffin Entertainment? You had your album out. Um, how did everything just end? And did you guys lose touch with Gene before he passed?
Oh, yeah. Well, what happened was that's a good question. So with the black, with Basic Black, what happened was when we would go on the road, when I go on the road with them, we started to find out that our money was not looking right, and then so we started looking into our contracts of because what we did is we signed a record label contract, but we were signed to the label through Gene. So we were signed to a production deal, which was pretty common back then. And so it was a middleman on all aspects. So whatever advances we got or budget we got, Gene only knew. We didn't know. And so we started to realize that we weren't paying our bills and things of that nature. Um, and so Mucho at the time, and he could probably tell this story better, but Mucho at the time, he wasn't worried too much is because Mucho was still getting paid to do songs. So the production team, our production team was Mucho, Zan, and Artie Hoyle. Those were the three producers that were producing everything after we left Teddy, after everybody left Teddy. And I see that you have Give Your Love to Me by Basic Black on all of your thingies. You know what I mean?
I love that. I love the
You love
track.
that
Yes.
song, but what you don't know is that the first verse Spec sang was supposed to sing, and it just didn't come out right. And then Daryl sang it. but that first verse that goes, "There's no need for you to be running around this town looking for something new." That Spec sang that. And then it just didn't work out. So then Diesel was supposed to come in. And it was if there's something new and exciting you're looking for, your searches through. I can give you no, I'm wrong. Spec was supposed to sing that whole verse. Like, there's no need for you to be coming around this town looking for something new. If there's something new and exciting you're looking for, your searches through. And then Diesel was supposed to come in. But they scratched that. So I say that to say this, that was the production, Artie, Mucho, and at the time, Zan. Zan left because he noticed that Gene was paying more attention to Basic Black than his album. So he left, and then it was only us. We started to realize that money was getting funny. We could only pay our rent, and we were getting like $125 per diem. And then Mucho, who actually I have to commend Mucho, is because he didn't have to go anywhere because Mucho had his car, he had his apartment, and he was getting paid for doing, production. Mucho stuck up for the black, and we all had some kind of a meeting or a photo shoot. I can't remember what it was. And then Basic Black had said, they were like, you're taking our money. They said this to Gene. He's like, you're taking our money and we're not going to deal with this no more. And then they walked out. And then Mucho was the same, because Mucho, he's from the hood. He don't play. Mucho don't play. You don't mess with Mucho. So Mucho understood that, Gene was sort of gangsterish, and Mucho was like, I don't give a damn. Yeah, I'm not doing nothing for you anymore, blah, blah, blah. And then they all walked out. And then I walked out with them. And then we all left. And then after that, there was an altercation. I was in the studio with me, Gene, Dallas Austin, and I think Coco. And someone came down to the studio and told Gene that Daryl said he has a bullet for you. And so Gene got in his car. I think he had a red Ferrari at the time. Got in his car, and God bless the dead. But got in his car, rode up to the apartments with a gun in his hand, knocked on the door. Daryl answered the door. He took the butt of the gun and bust Daryl in the mouth.
Wow.
Yeah, Spec mentioned this, but he didn't. He said that our lead singer, but I didn't put two and two together. He said,
right,
yeah,
and bust him in the mouth and knocked his tooth out. And so that's why if you look on any interview with Daryl, and when they ask him, do you like the old, Basic Black days, or do you like these days? He's like, I love these days much better because there was too much drama back then. So that's why. So that's exactly what happened. Gene went and pistol whipped him. And after that, we had nowhere to live because they were paying for, the company was, or the GR was paying for our apartments and things of that nature. So everyone had to scatter and go live with relatives. I think I might have moved in and lived with a girl at the time. Spec went and lived with his sister. KB went and found an apartment. Mucho went and started working with Teddy. And so to answer your question, no, I've never spoken to Gene. Gene told me something, and I think I mentioned this last time. He told me, he's like, I'm gonna have your ass working at McDonald's. He told me that. He told me that.
Well, he was kind of right about you ended up being a chef, but maybe not.
I went to culinary school long before that. I just never used my degree.
Here's a question.
I have degrees in business, marketing, and culinary degree, but I just what's the question?
About the ARB album. There's a track on it called, I don't know if you remember this track, it was called New Jack City.
Yeah.
Because it ended up being licensed for a few compilations.
Okay.
But was that ever considered to be a Basic Black track? Because it was very Basic Black sound. There's a lot of vocal on it, and it had that, with the lyrics and.
No, the ARB. This is a good question. Okay, so the ARB album was produced by Mucho and Artie Hoyle. Some of those songs, like Now or Never, and the song "Give Your Love to Me, Baby," on the Basic Black album, those were for Artie Hoyle's album.
Wow.
But Artie Hoyle was on Virgin, was signed to Virgin. And when Teddy left Gene started losing all of his groups. So because they started to realize that it's about Teddy, it's not Gene. And so he started losing his deals. So Artie Hoyle was signed to Virgin Records and he had a whole album done. And so because of that, Gene put us together, because when Artie Hoyle got dropped from or Virgin, or his deal didn't go through, he just put me, because I was a solo artist, Artie, and then Coco had just signed, and he just put us all together. He's the one that came up with the name Atlanta Rap Band, and he's the one that they all put everything together. And so most of those songs were produced by Artie and Mucho. Now the song New Jack City has the same story as Do the Right Thing from Redhead Kingpin. Gene was trying to use New Jack City for the movie New Jack City at the time when New Jack City was coming out.
Wow, here's an exclusive, Nandi.
Right.
You want to get a reel out of this one now?
Start
the story again.
Okay, so when New Jack City, the movie, was coming out, Gene wanted to use a track for the New Jack City movie. Just like the Do the Right Thing track by Redhead Kingpin, he was trying to push that song to the Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing. Right? But they just didn't take the song. And so the same thing with New Jack City, he was trying to push that song for the New Jack City soundtrack.
Wow.
And it just never made it on the soundtrack, because if you remember, the New Jack City movie had Teddy and Aaron in it, and Damon. If you listen to the song, if you look at New Jack City, the movie, they were in the movie. And so they couldn't use that song for the album around that time. They were trying to promote that for the movie. And so that's how that song came about. And if you listen to the song New Jack City, it starts off with Artie singing, and then Daryl singing, and then Coco and myself rhyming on the end of the song. And so that song, that actual track was sort of like a mosh pit, like a mashup of just, hey, you get on it and you get on it and you get on it. It wasn't like anything that was thought of, because he wanted to use the name New Jack City and try and push it for a movie. So that's how that came.
It's one of those tracks that if you're ever in your car,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you drive to a city and you get to that point where the city emerges, you're not quite in it yet. You play that track, and because I've done it in your car, New Jack City, it's like perfect for that.
Right. And so, yeah,
brilliant track.
And so he's there. They're like, you know, write a song. So I'm like the N to the E to the W, Jack City, girls act witty. So, you know, so it's sort of like we're just writing because he's like, I want to push this. I wanted to push this song for that particular movie, if you will. And so that's how that came about.
Wow. How long did can you remember how long did it take to make the ARB album? How long did it was you
Great question. It's like so again, we were put together, and so what happened was when Basic Black first came out, they weren't on Motown. When Basic Black first came out, they were on GEG Productions, and then Gene shopped it to Motown, and Motown gave Basic Black a deal, and they were signed as a production company. So I say that to say this: Gene did the same thing that he's always been doing. When he got Basic Black in the door, he put us together and was like, hey, this is another group I got. And so then we got signed to Motown, because we signed to GEG Productions, and then we got signed to Motown because Motown was our distributor. So it took us about, and the reason why I'm saying this is because it took us about 2 weeks to make that album. And so what Gene would do, this is the funny.
Tracks only took 2 weeks.
Two and a half, because they were already done. They were already done. Those tracks were already done. Like, so Now or Never was already done. That was on Artie's album. And so what Gene would do, and everybody knows this in the business, Gene would use one person's advance or one person's budget to work on someone else's album. So Gene would use Basic Black's money that they got signed for, because again, no one knows how much the major is giving us, right? Mm-hmm. So he would use that money to start production and paying for studio time and things of that nature on the next artist. And then he would use our budget to pay for the next artist. And so like when we got an advance, I might have got like $3,000. You know what I mean? And so it took us about 2 weeks to make that whole album. Because if you notice, it's like so the song Now or Never, that was a song I had already written like a couple of years ago. That when I came to GR Productions, I had like half of an album already done. And so what I did is whatever I had, I would use those rhymes on whatever beat Mucho or Artie made. And so I would just use them. I would just write I'd listen to the track. I'd be like, okay, the rhyme that I had like for this song could go for this song. And then I would do it like Just Music. Just Music is I had already done that. That's how I got signed, from Just Music. And so we just redid it.
So basically,
it took about 2 weeks.
You had a bunch of demos or near finished tracks already in the can. Gets this deal, gets you signed to Motown, and you quickly put the track list together and made a few more touches to it over a couple of weeks, and bam, this album's just come out then.
Because I might have known Coco about 2 to 3 months, maybe before we started an album, because she was signed as a solo artist also. Coco was a model, and she was a model for in Las Vegas, and she was from Atlanta, but she can rap her ass off. So, but she was signed as a solo artist, and then myself solo, Artie solo. So he just put all of us three together.
I remember buying the album like it was yesterday. That's how much I cherished. I know I said this before, and you kind of dismissive of that group now, but I still cherish that album to this day. And you guys are just like, it was over in a few months, and I was moved on, and it ain't no big. I'm like, the whole cover. I love the album cover for a start.
We shot that in LA. Yeah, we shot that in LA. And don't get me wrong, those are my friends. I just spoke to Coco the other day. Those are my friends. It's just the way that everything was put together that was kind of like, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to be a solo artist. Coco wanted to be a solo artist. Diesel was a solo artist. And so, you know, what happens is when you get a buzz, you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna put this person with that person. I'm gonna put this person, and then it happens. But you know, I mean, I love the work. Mostly I loved working with my friends. You know, Basic Black they're still my friends to this day. Coco, Artie, still my friends. But you know, I can't say that I love the album. It is what it is.
Namdi, pull up Tony Robinson's comment, please. I want to address that.
Yeah, no, he was saying that, and I've just sent him the link to it. So he was saying that.
Yeah, what we're basically saying is we're talking about Arb's track New Jack City from their album, and Idris is basically saying that it was shot originally for the New Jack City soundtrack. Their version didn't come out on that soundtrack because Guy's version of New Jack City did. That should clear up any confusion.
Yeah, it wasn't. See, so what happens is in the music industry, this is what happens. We know what movies are coming out long before they come out. Because what will happen is the movie will be made and they'll be looking for songs for the soundtrack. Now, these songs these songs vary. So what they do is they go to like the hottest producers or the hottest artists or people, and they'll be like, hey, can you submit? No different than any other artist. They go, can you submit some songs for this new soundtrack or for this new movie rather? And so that's what happens. So a lot of the producers and things of that nature, they know about a movie that needs songs for a soundtrack. And so they'll try and submit songs to a soundtrack. And so what happens is sometimes there are songs that are submitted to a soundtrack that blow up the artist. And you never even know. You're like, oh, shoot, this guy got big off of a soundtrack because this song was on a soundtrack. And so we were supposed to, that New Jack City song was supposed, it was a couple of years old, but the beat was a couple of years old, but it was supposed to be submitted to the New Jack City movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are you up to now? I mean, are you still trying to, are you still focused on your, your culinary business?
Oh yeah, I'm completely out of the business. I'm completely out of the business. I work. I have my own company now. What we do is we try and teach people diversity through food. And so like what we do is sort of like, you know, every ethnicity, every ethnic group has recipes, right? And so we believe that if you erase the food of an ethnic group, you erase their existence. And so what I do is I go around and I teach companies these the foods of these ethnic groups. So for instance, in America right now, it's Black History Month, right? So what I do is I compile recipes and things of that nature, and I go around and I teach companies about these particular dishes and where they come from, where they originated from. Like, so you being of African descent, sir, you know that jollof rice is the great grandfather or grandmother of things like jambalaya or things of that nature. So that's what I do. I teach the diversity through food, and I love what I do. Yeah.
I mean, would you ever do a Nat King Cole? Sorry, what was her name? Nat King Cole and his daughter, Natalie Cole.
You do a
with
song
your
with my dad.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I might. Right now, you get to a point in life where you kind of like you have like other visions. And so right now my vision is not so much about music, but it's more about bringing people together because there's a lot of turmoil that's going on in this world. And by me being Muslim, there's a lot going on in the Middle East that I don't agree with. And so I'm more so an advocate for change and trying to help people understand that still here in America, there's a lot of racism going on and people just they want to hold a blind eye to it. So again, my focus has changed. I've figured that, you what happens, I think, with a lot of musicians and a lot of people that were in the music industry, they don't want to pivot because it's an art form, right? And so sort of like a boxer, you don't want to get old, you want to still box, but you have to understand that now you cannot stand in the ring. You may have to coach someone. And so that's what I would rather do. I would rather coach and teach as opposed to jump in front of the camera myself. But what I do love is the fact that everybody respects my dad. My dad was a famous jazz drummer, and maybe that's something down the line. But for right now, no, it's not something that I've looked at.
Yeah, as I said, I guess I mean, are you still proud of your contributions to Nothing But a Party?
Absolutely. There's a lot to be said about that genre of music. And the reason why I say this is because there's a lot of music out there, but there are not a lot of producers that have changed music. You have very few producers that you can possibly count on one hand that have changed the industry. And Teddy Riley is one of them. Timberland is another one. You know what I mean? So it's like, to be part of that genre, that music genre, of course, I'm definitely proud of it. And I'm definitely proud of Nothing But a Party. I got a story about Nothing But a Party. That we shot that at this club called Dominique's, which was Dominique Wilkins' club at the time in Atlanta. And the damn video shoot was so long that I was supposed to have a part, and I was supposed to do my part from the album. But it was so long, I was like, dude, by the time it came to my part, I had already changed my clothes. And I'm like, I had already changed my clothes and took off my makeup. And I was like, I'm not going to do it now, because at the time, I'm 19 years old, 20 years old. I don't know that videos take this long. I'm like, when is it going to be my turn?
And you didn't know that 30 years later, YouTube would come along and be there for everyone to watch. So if you'd have knew that, you'd have waited even longer.
If I knew that, I would have been like, yo, because they came up to me and they were like, okay, we're ready for you. And I'm like, dude, I'm already in my civvies. I'm like, I done took my makeup off. And they're like, okay, well, we're good. And they left it with that. Yeah.
And Gene didn't come beat you up or threaten you? Like,
no. We had already probably went overtime anyway. I mean, we didn't get out of there till like 3-4 in the morning. And fun fact, like, God bless the dead and things of that nature. But around that time in Dominique's, I used to see Dexter King, Martin Luther King's son. I used to see him in the club all the time. Because we were all young, you know what I mean? And like, he looked just like Martin Luther King, good looking guy and stuff like that. I'm like, I would see him in there. He wasn't picking up girls or nothing, but I would see him in the club a lot. In Dominique's. Yeah, but again, I love the contribution that we brought to the music industry, and it's good to see that like New Jack Swing is still doing its thing, and still making a lot of noise out there. And it's a blessing to be a part of that era.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Idris, we want to definitely thank you for coming in today, sharing some stories as well, contributing to our countdown. Definitely going to have to make sure you come on back.
Absolutely.
As well. And then having two booty call mixes on.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
It shows them impact and stuff.
Yeah, those were my remixes. So
yeah.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Stevie, final words.
Again, thanks to all the as ever. You got to thank all the viewers this evening that have tuned in live. And I say this every week. You could be there's so many other things you could be doing, watching films, podcasts, PlayStation 5s you could be playing on, but you're here with us. You're here with us talking about some music genre that happened 30 years ago that we're still trying to keep going on YouTube. There's not much left, you know what I mean? And you've got artists like Idris that still want to tell the stories that we want to hear. So we got to cherish that, and hopefully Redhead Kingpin will come out the closet soon, and Zan will appear. These guys.
Red's daughter is really big in the industry now. So
Wow.
I mean, hopefully you can get him. I mean, he's a good guy. I mean, I think he's probably changed his career also. And so yeah, that's my brother.
Well,
I haven't seen him in years.
Oh, you haven't seen him yet as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't seen him
What
in
about
years.
Zan? What about Zan?
Oh, Zan, I have not heard from Zan in a very long time. Zan was older than us, and I think I mean I know he's still around.
He's the
but I don't know
Skywalker of New Jack Swing. He's just disappeared.
him and Redhead. Redhead will probably be watching this, but yeah, he it's a lot of times things like this are bittersweet for artists, if you will. And so it's a case by case basis. So I don't really know what a lot of them are doing, but I wish everybody the best. And I know for a fact that a lot of them have contributed a lot to this field.
Do you feel like there is many that want to talk about their stories? That I feel that there's some that probably don't want to. Maybe they just moved on completely.
Yeah. There are a lot of people that don't want to kind of like rehash those things, is because no different than the Me Too movement. The world was different then as it pertained to music. I mean, I never forget. I was telling a friend of mine the other day. I was like, bro, I'm like, people are lucky that only a few people are getting in trouble for messing with a lot of these girls in the 90s. I'm like, because in the 90s, there was no respect for women, none. And it's sad. I mean, none. I mean, you look at songs like Big Pimpin' and things and Dre Day when they're pouring champagne on women. I mean, there was no respect. And so I have stories, and I know a lot of the people that were younger in the 90s have stories about how women were treated and things of that nature. And so I can go on record and say that every rapper and every singer from the 90s, they are very, very lucky that they're not stories out on them. Is because there was no internet and things of that nature. And a lot of people can get in a lot of trouble for a lot of the things that went on back in those days. And it's unfortunate. It was a different time, So, and if anyone says that, oh, no, this is not true, and I never did that, come on, man. It was a different time. It's what it's like. It's like saying that in slavery, no one was abused, and like someone saying, "Oh, I didn't do that in slavery. I didn't." No, that was the time. And so in the 90s, there were things going on in the 90s, whether it's with women, whether it's with drugs, whether it's with taking people's money and jerking people for money. All of these things were going on. And so a lot of times people don't want to talk about it. And I understand, you know what I mean? They just don't.
As we go, quick. So Atlantic rap band,
Mhm.
ARB, and
Yeah.
they were, So if you just search I think it's if you actually, one of the biggest songs would be New Jack City, ARB.
Yeah, and crank it up.
Yeah, if you search that on YouTube, you'd get them. Did you guys ever shoot a video?
We did, but I cannot find it. I saw it on like a long time ago when it first came out, when the album first came out. I saw it on, I don't know what show. I think it might have been BET, but I never saw it. And I've been looking for it. I've been looking for like
the Coco's got an original version of it. Is that
yeah, she does. She does.
Listen, Idris,
she says her sister has it.
Say you've got to get that on YouTube. Get it off her, or tell her to start. Just upload it, just for historical reasons, so we can all see it.
I'll tell her. I'll hit Coco up after this and tell her just get it loaded up. I think she has. She definitely has it. She definitely has it. So yeah.
Well, guys, we definitely want to thank you guys who tune in. We've been on it for just close to 2 hours now, and you guys, really make a massive difference when you contribute, put in your comments and really come through. Amazing top 10 lists that you had as well. Tracks that we didn't remember to put up there. Thanks again to Idris for taking this time to join us today. Hopefully, Sheldon will be back after the Super Bowl, guys.
Yes, sir.
Next week is Super Bowl, but we're back in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I'm about to watch the Grammys. It's almost the Grammys time. You know what I mean? You know.
Well,
So
it's been going on. Big Mike, Killer Mike has won 3. Scissors won 1, and unfortunately, my guy Stanley Brown didn't get to win.
okay.
Yeah, so that's been on. But I don't respect the Grammys for what they did to Michael in '88.
No, not at all.
And I think it's so, they shut him out, and he gave the best performance they've ever seen on stage, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, what have we done here?" But anyway,
before we get off,
Okay.
this has nothing to do with New Jack Swing. Who do you guys think are producers nowadays that are withstanding the test of time?
Ooh,
Eh,
I'd have to think about that.
I can tell you my 3 right now.
I would
And-
say
and-
Rodney Jerkins. I think he's still. I mean, he's up for a Grammy for what he did with Scissor. He's
Really?
always coming up with stuff.
I think
Go ahead.
Tricky Stewart, who is a friend of mine, T-Ron from our city, and Jermaine Dupri and Brian Michael Cox. I mean, come on, these guys are killing the game now. I mean, still.
Yeah.
And I mean, look up T-Ron, our city. Obviously Tricky Stewart. I mean, you know who he is, and obviously you know who Jermaine Dupri is. But these guys are making hits, man, and these guys are sweeping, doing well at the Grammys, hopefully this year. So it's about pivoting and still being relevant nowadays.
Yeah.
So
No, you're right. Dallas, the Neptunes they're almost split up. I mean, Pharrell is into fashion.
Listen, the producers at the moment that have got the sound, they're innovating sounds and pushing the sounds forward. They're not R&B and hip hop producers; they're Afrobeats producers.
absolutely,
Afrobeats now.
absolutely.
So
Even Usher.
Afrobeats producers, they've got a whole new sound that you lot in America are all trying to copy.
So
And even Usher's jumping on it.
So
And
Tricky Stewart,
Timbaland's 5 years too late for me.
right? And
Teddy went over to Africa to try and get a piece of it.
Right. Tricky Stewart.
Producers.
Tricky Stewart is one of the producers for that Water.
Yes.
Yeah.
She won the Grammy for best.
5 years too late for me.
Huh?
Where was you 5 years ago when Afrobeats was really
we're always listen, bro. We are late. We are late when it comes to Afrobeats. America is seriously late when it comes to Afrobeats, and Europe has always been ahead of certain things. You get what I'm saying? Especially as it pertains to world things. We're behind, man, and I'm not ashamed to say it. We're behind like a mofo. As it pertains to Afrobeats. And I don't know why. I could say why, but it'll be political. But it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Tyler just won the Grammy for Water, so she beat.
That's what's up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that was the best Afrobeat track of the year.
Probably not.
But it was just more so just the image and stuff like that. So
absolutely.
So she beat them out. But yeah, I mean, Usher has a track with Burna Boy, and he has a number of Afrobeat stuff. Chris Brown has been going back
sensational.
And forth with the Davido. So they've been. I mean, to be fair, like Justin Bieber, he's been featuring on it. So I mean, they've. I think, as you mentioned, Stevie. I mean, during lockdown, that's when a lot of Afrobeats really got crossed over to the US.
Right.
And then a lot of Americans just, some artists just piggybacked off of it, which is like, yeah, we'll feature on the remix, not realizing that it wasn't a phase that's actually here to stay.
This is the question that I want to ask, and it's mainly because this is where I've pivoted. I've pivoted to the rights of people. But the question that I want to ask is, out of all of these brothers and sisters making these Afrobeat songs, producers, artists, things of that nature, who do you think that they are getting their just due financially? Understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And this is what we need. I mean, they may be getting their just due more than the 90s because of the internet, but are you getting your just due?
No.
Because we are creating African American, we are creators all the time. And you have to own your creation. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Own your creation. To all the artists out there, don't worry about getting a percentage of the pie. Get the pie, man. You can do it. Get the freaking pie.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, a lot of the record labels have moved back to Nigeria because they were in Nigeria back in the
Right.
80s and early 90s, but then they didn't see a market outside of Africa for the music, so they just pretty much just left. And now Afrobeats has picked up, and everyone's moved back in.
Killing them.
Yeah, and then now, as I said, buying the rights to it because not only are there big tracks, but the fact that these tracks are streaming, like the track that they had with Gomez, I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
With Rema.
Calm down.
Yeah, Rema. Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest songs of the last year. It's just because it's blown up so much.
Did she need to be on that track? No.
Well,
for what?
More money. It took the track to another level. Just market. Like if you got Taylor Swift to feature on a remake with Burna Boy, you know. That opens other doors, and you know, people are thinking about, you know, you sell more with that. But no, I think that, you know, you know, from the fact that, you know, Usher did an Afrobeat track, in a way, you know, if they acknowledge where they're getting it from, and if they're going to the source, you know, that's fair enough. But if it's pretty much just like, oh, this is a new
I'll be honest,
thing,
he featured an artist called Fields, who's not that well known outside of Nigeria, but
okay,
I respected that because I you know, Fields has been going a long time, and I thought, great, that's his break.
That's Usher.
You know,
Usher's
that's a great break for Fields. That
it's called Ruin. The song is called Ruin.
He could have got Wizkid on it.
Oh, Davido,
He could have got Burna Boy or Davido, but he didn't. He got you know, respect to him for that.
Yeah, but yeah, so Nandi. You know, I know I've been speaking to you about this project that I'm working on. I definitely want to get with you guys, and maybe we could do it together. It's not a New Jack Swing podcast, but it's definitely a music and African, not African, but music and Black entertainment idea. And so I'd love you guys to jump on board with it whenever I can, whenever I start it up, because you guys are amazing.
So just before we leave, Big Mike asks you this question.
Okay.
Who are your top 5 producers of all time?
Ooh. Me?
Yes, you.
He's asking me. Who am I?
Yes, asking you. Yeah.
Okay, my top 5 producers. Now, okay, is he saying past or present?
Of all time.
Of all time. So
of all time. Okay. My top are Babyface, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Teddy Riley, and now my Teddy Riley, Jermaine Dupri, Tricky Stewart, and T-Ron. Those are my top 5, and those are my top 5 producers. And I base that on longevity, and I wouldn't necessarily put Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and Babyface in the longevity part as it pertains to making music now. But what I would put them in the longevity part is as far as timeless music. And so those are, and the only reason why I'm saying these people, because these are people from my era. I mean, I know that there's, you know, 70s producers like, you know, and 60s producers like, you know, Holland, Dozier Holland, and Gamble and Huff, but they're not from my era. And so that's why I put these guys.
Okay. Definitely. Well, guys, we want to thank you. As we said, 2 hours, 8 minutes. We next week is Super Bowl, so we're not around. But in 2 weeks' time,
I won't be staying up for that. Not a chance.
We'll be watching the Usher performance and watching his halftime show. But we're going to be doing a top 10, our favorite Usher tracks off the back of that. So it would be an interesting thing. But we definitely want to thank you guys. Every week you tune in and really support us. Unfortunately, Sheldon wasn't here. I mean, it was great that Idris was coming in and you know, added a different dimension, a different flair to what we're doing. So appreciate that, Idris.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, and we'll see you guys next.
For those of you who be watching the Super Bowl next week, remember this. We've got a thing in the UK called the Premier League where we get a ball and we use our feet, and he's a lot more skillful than throwing it in the air. Believe me.
Touche.
Yeah.
Touche. 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 All right, guys.
Okay.